So yesterday, Scott, or 2 days ago, I guess it is now, I had Paul St. Pierre Plamondon on the show talking about this new Léger poll that shows if you were to give up the simple idea of, a referendum, he would not just win, but form a majority government in October when we go to the election here. I want to hear, this is the clip, right, when I said, would you consider doing something like this?
I think what people are willing to give me after 5 years and a half as a leader of the Parti québécois is that unlike other politicians, I think we can say I'm a straight shooter for better sometimes and for worse other times, but I've been very consistent and clear about everything. And so people agree or they don't agree, but in general, they trust that what I say has been thought over and will be consistent. And sometimes it doesn't help me. I think polls will show that if I would drop the objective of being a country in Quebec to be independent, I would have better support, but then I wouldn't be myself, and I don't think I would be saying the truth.
And certainly he wouldn't want to not be saying the truth. So, Scott, what do you think of that and this poll, which asks kind of a strange question when you consider that, the whole raison d'etre behind the PQ is, in fact, a referendum and then followed by sovereignty. What's your take on this?
Well, I think he's walking in to the St. Lawrence River with rocks in his pockets, and he's doing so knowingly. He's doing so almost proudly. And, I've worked with leaders who've made this argument before. Like, this thing that I know is stupid, that will kill me, I'm going to latch myself to it even more as a declaration of my authenticity and integrity. And it's not. People are looking at the world and they're saying, this is the wrong time to be having this discussion, this debate. And, the PQ were founded on the idea of separation, and they've run on it, and they've, obviously led 2 referendums, but they've also just been a flat-out political party at times that have, for tactical reasons, abandoned the concept of a referendum separation. And personally, from my perspective, and here I am sitting in Toronto, so who cares what I think, but I'm thrilled to hear that answer. And I'm sure his opponents are thrilled to hear that answer, because it's like a guy who's walking into a boxing glove who says, look, it would be dishonest of me to duck.
Okay, fair. I would ask, I was kind of thinking out loud yesterday after I heard that and after I talked to him and said to myself, imagine that first part about, I've been in politics for 5.5 years. And all of a sudden out comes a poll that shows that if you just change this one thing, you could be the next premier of Quebec. You could form a government and a majority government. And do you have that look in the mirror and say to yourself, is that what I want? Is that what I've been working towards the whole time? And would I be willing to sell myself out to get there?
The poll isn't what triggered this conversation. They had this conversation 2 months ago, and they had to come to Jesus on this, because they're ahead of the poll. They have internal polling. They also aren't stupid. They know this thing's an anchor, not a kite, and they've had a conversation about it. And the conversation will be one part, what is the pragmatic decision? It'll be a second part, which is who are we and what is in our fundamental DNA. Those things will collide. They'll probably have advisors who are divided on this issue and say the greatest thing we can do to perpetuate the project of an independent Quebec is to retreat strategically for now so that we can succeed, take government, and then create the conditions for success later. That argument gets made all the time, and then people say, no, you're not pure lane, and then they beat them up in the room, and they have that argument's been had. So by the time the poll came out and you interviewed him, they've already had that argument, and he's come to his decision. And he will live or literally die by it politically, and my guess is he'll die by it.
All right, let me go on to the next topic here. The story this morning, and Mark Carney was asked about this. Apparently, Canada will have to pay, I don't know, what do we call this, an entry fee in order to begin negotiations on CUSMA. Where the hell did this come from?
I don't know. It's like, hey, you know what? The guy over here says if you want to be kicked really hard between the legs, you have to pay him $500 first. And you're like, okay, well, great. Let me just get to the bank machine. Thanks, but no thanks. And, this is the belligerence of the United States right now. The more that they look weak, the more they must project strength. And they do that by the guy at the bar who goes, just hold me back because I'm going to kill him. And it's like, no one's holding you back, brother. Okay. Yeah. So, and I don't mean, like, obviously the United States is powerful and they are large and their economy is significant, but Donald Trump is weakening day by day by day. And the idea that in order to sit down and have a discussion about CUSMA, we would first have to walk up and pay tribute to the Roman emperor by saying, well, here are 3 sacrifices we're willing to make of policies that we've long held. Like, we're going to give up on supply management in order to get into the conversation. And, the practical question is, well, wait a second. What the hell was the digital services tax surrender for? Why did we move off of reciprocal trade retaliations? We did those things in order to preserve some kind of dialogue. And in spite of it all, you guys are not willing to engage. And now I think a different psychology has taken hold of our team, which is, what the hell with it, man? Maybe we don't even want a deal right now. There is a myth at the center of the way we talk about this, which is that CUSMA disappears. No, it doesn't. The outcome of no deal is we do a review each year. So Trump could issue a 6-month notice and say, I'm going to tear it all up. But is he strong enough to do that? Does that make sense for him economically in the United States, with prices soaring, with this war in Iran, with $4 plus gasoline per gallon it doesn't look like it's ever going to end. So they're going to say they hold all the cards. They have fewer cards than when they started this conversation.
Based on that, only because I love this clip so much. The other day I was talking about what Howard Lutnick had said when he basically called Canadians idiots, or what he referred to as I forgot the exact term.
They suck.
He says we suck, right? And then he's sitting in front of a congressional hearing today, and the governor of New Hampshire, so a border state, is grilling him on the way that Canada is being treated, i.e. referred to, every time the issue comes up. Now, I don't like Howard Lutnick, and I'm actually embarrassed by some of what he says, like what he said the other day about, Canada dealing with China to get EVs here. Do we not recognize that China is a net exporter? They don't buy anything, and choosing to ignore the fact that they do. They buy our canola, they buy our pork, but that doesn't matter when that's your only point that you have to make. So did you hear this, by the way, today, this Gene Shaheen and going after Howard Lutnick?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Okay, it is fantastic. So play it again. Here's what happened.
Last year, according to the World Travel and Tourism Council, the United States saw a 5.5% decline in international visitors. We were the only major economy to see any decline. In my home state of New Hampshire, tourism is the second largest industry, both by revenue, and it supports 70,000 jobs. Canada has long been our largest share of foreign visitors, but last year we saw a 30% drop in Canadian tourism, largely due to the loss of trust and goodwill because of this administration's rhetoric around Canada. Secretary Lutnick, last week you said about Canada's economic strategy, and I quote, "They suck." I believe your spokesperson then said this was about Canada's economy leeching off of the U.S. How does insulting our closest ally and neighbor help the businesses in my state of New Hampshire and states all across this country who are hurting because of the loss of Canadian business and tourism?
Canada's economy leans on the incredible $30 trillion economy of America. But
there's no doubt about that, Mr. Secretary. But insulting our closest ally and neighbor who provides a lot of business. We have a lot of businesses in New Hampshire, small businesses who work on both sides of the border. We have all those Canadian visitors who are not coming because of your comments and comments by the administration. How does that help our economy?
It is outrageous that Canada will not put U.S. spirits on the shelf. It is insulting.
It is.
And disrespectful to America that they won't
Absolutely.
even put...
And my husband has an interest in a company that has American spirits. And they won't do it because of the insults from this president and comments like yours. So I want to go on to another question.
But can I have just one small comment, which is dairy is treated so badly, and your state cares about dairy, and we are trying desperately to get them to live to the deal that they have on USMCA and stop treating our dairy farmers so poorly, and your state cares about that, and we are fighting for that.
We do, but we are not going to get agreement when we keep insulting people. When we have allies and partners, we should try and work with them, not insult them. And I find your rhetoric insulting to the people in my state who are working so hard to try and ensure that they can do business.
Way to go, Jean Shaheen, Democratic senator from New Hampshire, putting Howard Lutnick in his place. Scott, I'm sorry you had to sit through that whole thing, but like you said, it was it was a great comeback. And I think, you know what, it's maybe not going to change anything, but it does make us feel better.
She just roped him. But here's what I think. There's going to be more and more and more of that. And Donald Trump has basically signed the price of gas at the pumps in the United States because of his move in Iran. And Howard Lutnick, if you know what, if we want to rip the gloves off, because we're in NHL playoffs now, if you want to rip the gloves off and really throw the fists, here's the thing. Howard Lutnick knows, the Wall Street Journal, others have reported that he is on the chopping block, that Trump is close to firing him. So what does he do? He tries to suck up to the big orange monster by saying they suck, Canada sucks. I'm going to say what I think the president wants. And of course, the more you try to suck up to Trump, the more he disrespects you and says, I'm going to throw you out the window. And this is a guy who's also been literally busted for lying and misrepresenting his relationship with Epstein. What scares Trump more than anything? Jeffrey Epstein. Lutnick is a tethered relationship to Epstein. I'll tell you what, the negotiations are going to last longer than Lutnick, and I guarantee you that will turn out to be true.
Scott Reid, our CTV political analyst. Scott, thank you so much. Always appreciate it.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.